to another episode of Invested, where we discuss the ever-evolving dramatic world of the creator economy and our current $17 million regulation aid crowdfund on Start Engine for Fanbase. I'm your host, Isaac Hayes III, and to my far right is Noah Washington at Comms and Partnerships at Fanbase. And back for week 2 is Tamisha Harris, TV producer extraordinaire, phenomenal woman. We had to bring you back because the reception was so good, you had to come back. You had to come back. It was like, yo, who is that? Matter of fact, somebody said, we like her. Like, we want more of her.
Oh, wow.
So we had to have you back.
Oh, I'm happy to be back.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken. Got to listen to the people.
Yeah, you played a very important role in getting the message out about the urgency of what this moment means and what we're doing at Fanbase. I think it is extremely important that we talk about currently what we're doing is we're having a $17 million regulation aid crowdfund on Start Engine. That means anybody watching right now can have equity in Fanbase and own part of the company. What's important about this is social media platforms need to be owned by the creators that use them. And then as we discussed last week, that Black media and Black people need to own social media platforms. So if you want to invest, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock at Fanbase at $665 a share. We just crossed $13 million raised.
Woo, woo, woo.
It's really good because the raise ends at $17 million. So there's $4 million to go. So we want everybody to go ahead and invest in Fanbase. Now, last week, I think, after our conversation, we said that we were going to have a conversation about some people were reaching out and we were going to make some calls, but I wanted you to talk about how the call is coming because you lit the fire and you put the word out there. So we letting everybody know what's finna go down.
Yeah, I mean, and Isaac, you are a man who has created you've done something that every disruptor in history has done, and that's created something. We said we needed it, and then you created it. And now it's time for us to, one, show up for you. We need to show up for you, and we need to show up for the community. And so we're going to the collective, our collective community. And so we are going to have a strategy call. So I'm going to, be reaching out to the big names in media that I've worked with, that particularly the people who have been ousted, those who have also not been ousted.
Right.
We need everybody. So it's the media professionals, it's the entertainers, it's the athletes. I've had so many people reach out to me from the entertainment industry, from actresses, reach out to us, from actresses to rappers to, media professionals, and they're ready to go. Executives on a very high level in TV, they're like, set the call. What's the action plan? And so this is the call to action. When we reach out, it's how they say, who all gonna be there? You're gonna be there. You're gonna be there. You're the name that needs to be there. And so we're excited. We're excited to get going. And a friend of mine in the TV industry, one of the executive producers, she says, I don't want to talk about it. Let's just get to work. And I loved that. She DM'd me. She said, let's not talk about it. Let's get to work. So that's what we're going to do.
The call is coming.
The call is coming.
Answer the phone.
The email is coming.
The email is coming. Get ready. Noah, we're going to jump into the creator economy stories that have been top of mind recently.
Brother, we have one particular talking point. You hear about Taylor Lorenz?
Taylor Lorenz. Yes, I've heard about Taylor Lorenz. Do you guys know who Taylor Lorenz is?
If you want to go into it, or you want me to?
No, go. You start, and then I'll jump in.
So Taylor Lorenz is a writer for currently Wired, formerly the New York Times, and on August 27th of this year, she put out a piece called, and I quote, "A dark money group is secretly funding high-profile Democratic influencers." And I know you got a few things to say about that.
Well, yeah. So this article came out a few days ago, and it was basically about a group called the 1630 Group, which is funding a group called Chorus, a nonprofit called Chorus, where they actually, I guess, used influencers or content creators to get messaging out there. And I think it might be pro-liberal or pro-democratic leaning. So Taylor Lorenz writes this article, but in this article, she names some Black creators, one in particular, A.B. Burns, who goes by I Am Legally Hype. And in this article, she accused content creators of taking money in upwards of $8,000 per month to talk about and create content. And the Black community, a lot of the Black creators actually sounded off and really struck back at Taylor Lorenz for, number one, making the article seem kind of nefarious, saying dark money. If anybody doesn't know what dark money means, it means that this organization is funded and not all of the dollars are accounted for by who is actually giving the money. So it kind of makes you think, like, is it illegal? Is it underhanded? Is it creepy? So it's definitely clickbait. And then more importantly, she accused these content creators of taking money to promote. One of the things with that I Am Legally Hype talked about is, number one, we talked about this last week, is that content creators are getting paid $8,000 a month to create content. Well, she actually showed an email where she got offered $250 a month to make content. And that doesn't line up pretty much with how most content creators paid. I'm pretty sure she saw that, oh, they're getting $8,000 a month to get paid. She turned it down. She turned the $250. Yeah, she turned the $250 down. But I think there's two important things. One, content creators deserve to get paid. And if they're making, pro content about messaging that is about voting or being active in the community, I don't think that there's any problem with that. But the attacks of also just misrepresenting Black creators in media, because again, I haven't heard about this really on Black media. And we also talk about the importance of why these stories need to be talked about on Black media as well. So
I think the direct question that comes from this, that the first thing that comes to my mind, should journalists apply equal scrutiny to both liberal and conservative influencer funding? That's the first thing that comes to my mind. And personally, I think so. I don't believe in extremes. I think extremes is what led us to where we currently are in the state of this country to begin with. I think far more of middle ground, bipartisan, has been left to the wayside. And that's how we got MAGA, right? MAGA is the ultra right. What's your guys' take?
I agree personally. I think that journalists should apply equal scrutiny to everything. And it's okay. You have, the opinion journalists, and that's okay. You can apply the equal scrutiny and still say, this is where I lean. People want to know that. People want to know, give us the facts, and then you can tell us where you're what you're leaning towards. So I think yeah.
well, I mean, let's be clear. Like, first of all, there are a lot of Republican organizations that are funded that pay content creators to not only make content, but propaganda content, fake content, unreal content, misleading content. So I don't understand what's the purpose of this article, because we have all been very critical of the Democratic Party not necessarily being on the pulse of what's really necessary to communicate to voters. I mean, again, all the apps are owned by conservatives. If you think about, X and True Social, and then Zuckerberg's alliance with the Trump administration, and that's Instagram and Facebook, and then TikTok being, under the whim of whether or not Trump is going to extend their ban. So, I mean, it's time for the Democratic Party to step up just to have a fighting chance and being able to have news and get the platforms out there and get the conversations out there. So I don't have a problem with doing that. I think the issue that the creators are having again is with Taylor Lorenz, and I've had a couple dealings with Taylor Lorenz in the past, very brief, but I also know that in the past she's covered African American creators before, And in those conversations, she said some things that, or allegedly said some things that are not necessarily favorable. And one of those things was, this is why Black creators can't be great. And she said that to a young lady that is in the PR industry that we know, at the time when she was at the New York Times writing an article. And again, this is the importance of Black media being able to cover Black stories, because, a lot of times in these instances, it makes Black creators look like they're charity cases for social media platforms. Like, oh, thank you for writing about us. And, the New York Times and these organizations that write about content creators, when we know that Black content creators are the number one content creators that make these apps work anyway. So to Taylor, well, first of all, the internet streets are handling her by themselves. These girls are going in.
Oh yeah, it's it's progressives, and she's usually being attacked by the conservative voter base, right?
Yeah.
Let's break that down. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, I think she just, remember she said that crazy thing about the dude from United Healthcare getting killed. Remember she went on?
Yeah.
She was happy that she was celebrating.
Oh wow.
She was on like what's Piers Morgan?
Yeah.
And I think she got fired. I think she got fired from her job
How
after
could she
saying that.
not? Of course.
Yeah, she was like, oh yeah, she was celebrating, like, I'm glad he's dead. And I'm like, what? And they were like, do you hear what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, she stated she felt joy and not empathy over the murder of the United
Oh
States.
yeah. There's no way. Not a reputable outlet could not have kept her on board.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what type of privilege that would be.
Right.
but to keep her on board. So I mean, we'd have to research to see if she's fine.
Yeah, the direct quote was, "I do believe in the sanctity of life, and I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately."
Oh,
That's the direct
so
quote.
many other Americans. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, again, the importance of these types of conversations and the way that they're framing also Black creators, because now a lot of these creators are getting harassed on how much money you're making. They're checking their pockets. Like, what's going on? Where you getting paid from? And I'm like, why is that even also anyone's business? As hard as it is for content creators to get paid anyway, why is that anyone's business anyway?
Well, let me ask a question. Do you think the controversy is about the creators being paid or the way that it was presented? In the use of the term dark money, I think, to your point, is more about the lack of transparency, right? Can you guys break that down?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, I would want to know, depending on what you are trying to influence me to do, I want to know who has stake in this. Where is this coming from? Why do you have interest in this? Who is paying you? And is this what you truly believe? I want to know, and I'm a true journalist, so I want to know where it's coming from. Who's the source? So for me, it does matter.
So to reiterate what dark money really means again is, the term dark money refers to funds used for political influence where the original donor is undisclosed. It doesn't automatically mean the money is illegal, corrupt, or shady. It literally means the source of the funds are not transparent. And so I think the critics argue that phrase itself is misleading.
Dark money is that.
Yeah.
That is misleading because it sounds nefarious.
It sounds like it's evil or fraudulent or something like that. And it's really just like, maybe this rich billionaire just donated a bunch of money to help progressives get the word out. Well, they call it dark money. And both conservatives and progressives have used that language before, so it's not that big a deal. But I think the way that she's, placing it upon these creators, when we know, again, on the other side, the amount of propaganda content that gets sent out every day by conservatives happens all the time. So.
I like what you did earlier when you said, this is what dark money, this is what this means, because we hear that and it does sound nefarious. It's like, okay, dark money, she got this from an underground, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's the importance of we're doing what needs to be done. So when we talk about what does Black media need to do in order to, whether it's, defend these Black creators or whatever, or creators in general, when something is said that may not be, they may not have the full context of it, we have to explain what these things mean, because social media is not just social media. We know that social media is now mainstream media.
Yeah.
And we can see that. And so it's incumbent upon us to explain to the viewers, people who are watching us, this is what this means. So we have to take what they've been doing in mainstream media, the NBCs, the ABCs, and we have to also apply that so we can give people the real information and not just say these terms, throw them out there, and then leave it up to them to, to determine what it means, because we know that dark money has a negative connotation.
I 100% agree. Short form video is the highest form content medium in the world right now, right? So people are not looking up and Googling and reading. We have the shortest attention span that we've ever had. So I agree with that.
Well, that's the headline. Remember the headline of the article is like, these creators are taking dark money, and most people read the headlines like, well, what does that mean?
But didn't I say that?
Yes,
the headline is everything.
Yeah.
And so they take the headline and it's like, that's what the truth is. And that's why it's so important for us to go and correct it. That's why what we're doing is so important. That's why when we call on the journalists, the true journalists who are now on social media, doing what they've done for so many years in mainstream media, we need them. So they're not, we don't just throw away these journalists. These people have grit.
Yeah.
They bring the truth. They are studied. Not that, social media journalists and are not, but there is a craft, there is a study, there is a research to this. And that's why it's so important for us to make the call, not, to go back to that, but to make that call and say, this is why it's so important for us to bring on the old school journalists.
Especially as, I'm sorry, you go.
Go ahead.
No, especially as, more and more publications, be it broadcast, especially on the print size, print paper is no longer a thing. Right. People are going digital now.
At AJC?
Yeah, AJC shut down. So I think more and more seasoned veterans are going to turn to social, whether it's live or pre-recorded, for sure. Mike, before Mr. Hayes, I just want to ask one question then, since you touched on it. What is the role of legacy media and even Black media in situations like this?
Legacy meaning nonlinear, meaning the
Well, I'll add to it. What is the role of Black media protecting creators in times like this when they're being defamed or put out there by articles that are not written by Black people that make them seem like they're being underhanded, or really, because it can cause harm to their reputation and their career?
For sure. So now we have to define Black media.
Well,
are we talking about Black journalists? Are we talking about Black journalists who are on mainstream platforms, or what is Black media?
I see, and we went into this last week, right? I see Black media as Black owned and operated, right? Mr. Hayes spoke about, if we do not have the ability to get on a platform and talk about whatever we need to talk about, then we're not truly Black owned, right?
That's what I love about it. That's what I love so much about the call to fan base, is because we can have that conversation and we can really break it down. Because I remember a long time ago, there was a specific network everybody would go to learn the true story. Let me go, as soon as something big, breaking news happens, we'd go to a specific network because we know, okay, they're going to have the big pictures, they're going to have the big story, and we're going to know exactly what happened. That's the role of Black media.
Right.
So when these stories are being told, it's important for us to be engaged. And just as you did, you went to the story and you broke it down. You broke it down beautifully.
Yeah.
That's our role right here on social media. We are the new media. So when people say, oh, well, this is just for posting content, and no, the business gets done, deals get done, news gets broke, on social media. So yeah, it's just a serious business.
So you would say it's incumbent on every, be it Black media company, be it broadcast, print, whatever, to get on social, to get on fan base, to spread the words and tell the stories.
Yeah, if you got a story, of course. Of course.
These are the reason why that's important is because today, like the things that we're talking about today are real life stories that are happening right now. And it's not fun and games. These are not jokes. And again, I always say, I enjoy the memes. If we want to talk about Young Thug, getting caught on jail phone conversations and linking all that stuff and the beef and the drama. But we also have to slip in the real opportunity to defend or talk about what's really happening in our communities, what's going on. And if we don't use that, then that isn't Black media. So again, I put the pressure on platforms like this. And as we get further into this conversation today, especially later on, we talk about this other situation, like we need to defend our community through media and tell our stories.
You know, I think right now we are being more exploited as it comes to media. I'm not gonna go to any particular publications, but right now, Black news is extremely profitable for advertisers, especially as you see larger publications making Black sub brands.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll you know, like I said, Taylor's getting on her and they're handling
Internet
that.
justice.
They're getting the internet justice from her. What's next? We're talking about Gen Z now.
Yeah, man. I read an article by Axios, and it's pretty informative and ties directly to what we're doing here. So the headline is Gen Z and everyday investors are driving the future of wealth. So a new report by JP Morgan Chase Institute shows that as of early 2025, Gen Z and lower income individuals are investing in the stock market at record levels, 5 times more likely to put money into financial markets than they were just 10 years ago. So, as educated, slightly older than myself, people, so I'm 26, guys. What's your hot take?
It's just it's more accessible. I think the information is more. You can go and you can do it online. You can buy stock online, and then the information. There's so many podcasts.
Yep.
That makes the information palatable for Gen Zs. In my opinion, I think that's why it's like, oh, okay, it's no longer this secret, society of how to invest. It's fun. And it's covered on, we're covering it on the news. These people are making millions. And so, just the same with influencers. People want to get rich quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look at investing as a tool, and I always say this, like, specifically, especially for content creators in Gen Z, if you're creating content, like, this is your opportunity to actually own infrastructure. Because what this lines up with is the reason why I put out the call for even young content creators to invest in own fan base, because you got to understand how much these platforms are worth. You got to understand that ByteDance just saw the valuation of $330 billion, which is TikTok's parent company we talked about before. So it's a $330 billion company that a lot of young people around the world, content creators of all races, right, are contributing but don't have equity in. And again, that was the reason why I love equity crowdfunding for fan base, because again, it allows the user, right, to do that. And so when you think about content creators, you guys are tapped in more than anybody on the planet. Your influence is the number one influence in the world. So imagine having ownership and equity into a platform and then leveraging your influence to scale that platform to the next level and have equity. And then plus we monetize on the front end of the platform, allowing you to have subscribers and get tipped. And so I think that's important. Like, you can't miss an opportunity like this. Again, I'm as we get to this, like, almost middle point of what we're talking about, I want all young creators to go to Start Engine. Like, go to Start Engine right now. Go to startengine.com/fanbase. Look at it. The minimum to invest is $399. And again, I know you don't think that $399 is a lot and can give you a lot of return, but where Fanbase is as a company, we are young enough, we're pre-IPO, and we have the ability to scale a lot larger than all these companies that are already selling their stocks on the public market, and you can have equity and have ownership in it. So again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. Every content creator should have equity in the platforms they use, and Fanbase is giving that opportunity right now.
So I want to take this time and just ask you guys a few questions, right? So what do you think the surge in Gen Z and lower income investing reveal about the democratization of wealth building in this country?
You got to start. Who wants to take that? Me?
Yeah, that's.
I think, again, wealth has always been something that is a secret, right? When I talk about investing, give you a prime example. I had this conversation yesterday, matter of fact, in an audio room, and everybody in the audio room was like, I hear what you're talking about, but you kind of have to dumb it down for us. When you use the word accredited investor and they didn't understand. So they're basically saying like, oh, you're saying that the entire time all these private companies have been around, rich people got together and made a law and said, unless you're rich enough, you can't invest in this company. And so all these years that the Microsofts, the IBMs, the Dells, the Googles, the Oracles of the world were already invested by rich people. So the Jobs Act, which is what we use to raise capital for Fanbase, takes away the accredited investor rule and wipes that out. And the number one reason that the accredited investor rule is always used all the time, and I repeat this again, is saying, oh, well, most people might not be sophisticated enough to invest. Oh, we don't want your aunt and uncle to blow their life savings on a bad investment. We don't want them to do that. But if that's the case, then why is the qualifier wealth? Why is the qualifier how much money you have? Just because you have money doesn't make you smart. Just because you have $1 million of a net worth minus your house doesn't make you smart. Just because you make $200,000 a year for 2 consecutive years, which is what qualifies you to be an accredited investor, doesn't make you smart. In fact, it's okay that your aunt and uncle or you can go to Vegas and throw your money on the crap table or play blackjack or poker, or you can go try to win the lottery today. But God forbid you invest in an early stage startup pre-IPO that can scale to hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. And now that opportunity exists, which is why I press so hard on, the democratization of investment, especially for young people. So that's why crypto is so popular. Because again, it's like I can get into crypto, something that you can jump in immediately, or investing in companies using equity crowdfunding. So take advantage of these opportunities to really be a part of things, especially, I don't know if you can control the price of crypto or not. But I know that if I'm a content creator that has 1 million followers, 2 million followers, and I take an equity position in a platform like Fanbase and bring my audience over there, that's automatically going to increase the value of investment. And that's the point in using that, is leveraging your reach, your influence to actually increase value in an asset that you own.
So I'm sorry, Miss Misha.
No, well, I was just gonna, just to your point, again, it's more accessible. We see people who look like us teaching about investing. We've got, you look at Isaac, and then you look at, the guys from Earn Your Leisure, and so many other people who look like us. It's like, oh, okay, wait a minute. This is something that we can do. This is something that, I could learn about, and they're making it palatable for us to learn how to do it, for the young 17-year-old or the 18-year-old, or to learn how to do it. And then it's something that they can, work whatever job and then take $200, take $399, or take $50 and invest. So, it's not only for that secret society of wealthy white men.
So my last question on the subject is then, could ownership and platforms like Fanbase represent the next evolution of how Gen Z and everyday investors build long-term wealth?
Oh yeah. Look, part of me says that they're going to not allow people to do this in the future. I don't understand. Like, part of me says, oh yeah, y'all not going to be able to do this again. So you're telling me that you can build a social media platform, allow all the content creators to have equity in it, then get on all the other social media platforms and talk about moving to this platform by telling everybody to download the app and use it. Then now your app is worth 100 million, 200 million, 500 million, $1 billion just by doing something like that. And so your equity position in that company increases just by using your voice to increase the value of the asset you own. I'm like, it's really like a no-brainer. Like, again, like the power that people have, especially on social media and influence, and people that have a fan base, and people that have reach, to be able to have a conversation and say, look, that's why I say, look, we want people to download Fanbase and use the platform, but I always say, before you do, don't do it for me. Do it for yourself and invest.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just download Fanbase like, oh yeah, I'm just downloading Fanbase because we're downloading Fanbase. But there's an opportunity to invest too, because we see these headlines where people exit companies. We see these headlines like so-and-so has just acquired such and such for $1 billion, or so-and-so has exited this company for $1 billion. Like, we see Ryan Reynolds, when Ryan Reynolds exited Mint Mobile, and T-Mobile acquired that company for $1.35 billion, he made $300 million.
What was the stat that you had last week about Africa?
29% of Africa is, 60% of Africa is under the age of 29 years old. And that's crazy to me. That means Africa even that opportunity, all those people of color that are going to be on social media platforms in the future, that infrastructure, that connectivity between America and Africa and Black people and us all being on the internet together, that is a massive opportunity.
Massive opportunity
Yeah.
for fan base. For sure.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think now is a good time. Plug the raise again, Miss.
Plug the raise again. So listen, we're raising $17 million in a Regulation A equity crowdfund on Start Engine. If you want to invest, go to startengine.com/fanbase. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock at Fanbase at $665 a share. As we say, this is not a GoFundMe. This is not a donation. This is not Kickstarter. This is actual equity stock and ownership in the company that exists right now as we continue to build. We have over 23,000 investors that are on the cap table, people just like you that believe in what we're doing and have invested in the company. And the real importance of this, and let me talk about this because I had a conversation. Oh yeah, I got to talk about this. So I've been sharing a lot of our content. And so a gentleman posted a comment and says, man, Isaac, I really, really want to support Fanbase, but it just doesn't have the functionality of Instagram and it doesn't have these features that TikTok has. And I said, well, let me explain to you how this kind of works. First of all, I'll take that as a compliment. Anybody out there that compares Fanbase to Instagram or TikTok, thank you, because that's letting you know that this company right here that has raised some seed capital is competing with platforms that are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. And so the gap between them and us is not that far visually. So some of the functionality that you're talking about requires lots and lots of money, which is why we're raising capital. And so I explained to him that the movement has to happen first. When you come to Fanbase and download the app and use it, it's not going to be perfect in the beginning. Because if I think about it, if I think about how Instagram was when it first came out, the first few years, the first 4 years, there was no video. There was no carousels. There were no DMs. It was just photos with filters.
And we were just happy to be.
And we were just happy to be there, right? And so, again, it is not anybody's fault that I decided to build a social media platform, but there was an intention behind building this platform because the effect that Black culture has on social media platforms leaves us out of the conversation of wealth and equity. So to be able to do that, we need to raise the capital to scale the platform. So I responded to the person that said, the migration has to happen first. And then everything that you're talking about can be built. Because if you think that, if you're comparing us right now, to platforms that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, then what happens when we get a fraction of that? When we raise 100 million, 200, 300 million dollars, I promise you that is exactly why I love what we're doing, because we're innovative. We have the ideas, we have the culture, we have everything, and we just sit back and let other people use us as a focus group and then take our ideas and then want to be included in something and then get mad when we don't. And so this is the moment in history, right, that we take control of social media and technology by equity, right, and influence, and run it up ourselves to hundreds of billions of dollars. That is the goal.
I'm happy that he actually posed that. It doesn't have the bells and whistles, and I think about did Berry Gordy have marble floors at Motown, or did Tyler Perry? We heard about Tyler Perry has a whole entire documentary about his story, and we love to hear about the stories of people, how they start off. You have created something that we actually need. This is not a bells and whistles conversation.
Right.
This is this is something that we actually need, that could really be a life or death situation for us if it comes to that. We need our own media. And so when people say, okay, it doesn't have the bells and whistles, it tells me that they are really not tuned in to what's happening, and the how critical media is right now, social media. And so no, it may not have the bells and whistles, and it will have the bells and whistles, just like you said. Instagram didn't have the bells and whistles, but it will have the bells and whistles for all the people who fun is important, and it is, fun is important, but right now we have to think about what we need for our daily lives, and social media is a part of our daily lives, and we have to get the information out. and we have to get the stories right.
Mm.
And we can do that on our platform without being censored. One person said, I read one comment where the person said something about, oh, was that your talking point? You're using race to get people to come on to fan base. And it makes me think, are you living in the same America that we're living in? It's not about us using race to come on to get people to come to fan base. I don't work for fan base. I'm a news producer. I own a production company. What I understand is how stories are told in mainstream media. I understand what's happening to mainstream media. I understand the importance of social media right now. And that's why I'm here. And so that's why when you call me, I'm like, okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
Not because, I'm a fan base fanatic. No, I'm not. But I am very serious about our stories. I am very serious about the accuracy of our stories. I am very serious about when there is a story in the news that needs to be told and it's coming through my email and I say, Kim, we need to put this on air, and it's not a priority and it doesn't get put on air when I know it's going to impact Black girls and Black boys. That is disturbing to me.
Right.
And so that's why it's important and I know media professionals can attest to the same thing. Every day we're told we can't put stories on the air that impact us. And so that's why it's important. Bells and whistles, that's great. But for you to know what's happening in your community, for you to know that there are, where the sundown towns are, is that what they're called? Sundown?
Yeah.
Where they are if you're traveling, for you to know what's going on that could impact your money, that could impact your family, that could impact your job. We have a unique set of challenges.
Yeah.
Just like immigrants right now have a unique set of challenges that they have to get information out to their people. We do too.
So I think rolling into this conversation is good to go into this next subject. I don't know if you want to.
Bree, I hope I'm pronouncing her last name right. Rami.
Bree Romy.
Romy, thank you.
Yeah.
Bree Romy. So, entrepreneur, she designed this hair clip for Black women.
Yes.
And then she designed it right. I'm going to read the description of it. It's a marketed unique magnetic hair clip specifically for women of color with locks and braids, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's low tension, protective, and innovative, designed with a Black woman's hair in mind, right? So, great invention, right? I think everybody, it's an easy assumption to say that that's a needed product.
Well,
right?
wait. Let's jump a little further into that.
Yeah.
It's Black innovation again.
Yeah.
So this young Black girl created a hair clip that has unique styles and shapes, stars, bows, really, really nice. And it connects with two magnets, and then it has teeth that can go through braids or locks and hold it together. So now she does this. She's starting to sell her product. And then there's another woman online named Kristen Owen that is selling the same product. She's white. She happens to be white. And she's selling, I guess, a knockoff version of what Bree's hair clip is. Now,
give them the kicker.
So here's the kicker. So Bree recognizes the fact that her shop is copying her style, and she makes a comment in a conversation to, I guess, Kristen Owen about using her product, and then another influencer
Copycat.
by the name of Keandra publicly came out and defended her as well. So what happened was this girl got on the internet and started crying saying the copier got on the internet
Claiming,
white lady,
claiming
saying she's
victimhood.
bullied.
Yeah.
And so what happened was she filed a lawsuit against Bree,
the innovator,
and the activist Keandra that defended her, and a judge actually sided with her and let them in 6 days of federal judge
with the copier.
And issued a gag order.
And it said within 6 days, a federal judge issued a gag order preventing Bree and Kendra from publicly discussing the case. And a UCLA law professor flagged it as constitutionally shaky. So imagine you invent somebody steals your product, you question them about it, and then they sue you, and a judge sides with you and says they can't talk about it. What's going on?
White women tears, man.
Well, that's what it was basically said. It says, if this fits into the historical pattern described as white women tears, weaponizing victimhood and the legal system against black women who speak up. And this is my problem with black media. This is a huge story. We are not talking about this on any of these platforms, these black-owned media platforms. There's a young black woman that has innovated and built something, and I do not see it on The Breakfast Club. I do not see it on The Shade Room. I do not see it on The Root and The Griot. And I understand that there's a lot going on, but we have to have our ears to the ground and to our community, that when these things happen, we come to the defense of our own. Because right now, there's really TikTok is really the community that's standing up for her and her product. I know that she filed a patent on the product itself, but again, we have to amplify these stories, because this is just a systematic pattern of things that black people create. Our ideas get stolen, somebody else takes it, makes a bunch of money off of it, and we don't really have a chance to do anything about it.
So I want to get started with this question, right? The historical narrative of white woman tears, right? How does this narrative fit into the accountability and then the victimhood of what the copycat is claiming, right? Speak to us about the historical narrative of white woman tears.
Well, I mean, I'm not a white woman, but again, I've said before that I've had my own situations where I was in situations where I felt uncomfortable by what was being said by a white woman. I've always kept my distance. I've never, dated white women, and I've always just, been attracted to black women. But I understand far too often that the weaponization of things that a white woman can say against black men or black people have real life consequences. I mean, Tulsa was over something like that. An entire community was burnt down because a woman said that she was touched by a young black male, and they burnt the town down. And so I know, no one nobody black is immune or not susceptible for that kind of conversation to be had and those kind of accusations to be had before. But when it comes to, again, our IP and our intellectual property, these are the kind of things that really, really bother me, because again, I'll use the word allegedly, that she allegedly copied allegedly copied Bree's invention. And then when she's getting questioned about it, she files a lawsuit. And again, those are the things that just happen systemically over our community time and time again when it comes to our inventions.
You said one thing, that TikTok is coming to her defense.
Yeah.
So I think I'm willing to bet that there are a lot of white women on TikTok who were coming to her defense as well, the black woman's defense.
Yes.
That's one thing we don't talk about. We do talk about the white woman's tears, but there are some white women who get busy.
Absolutely.
There are some white women who really get busy for us, and they will read a white woman who was crying for no reason to the ground. And so I think that it's important to talk about that, because we need that. We need that voice. We need the white woman who is, and I have friends who white women who are friends that will read you to the ground. And so that's important. That's so incredibly important for them to know that we see you, we appreciate you, and keep doing it, because they know their people. You know what I mean? They know what that looks like. So it's important.
Yeah, and
important.
To be candid, that's how I even saw the story, was a white woman that was calling her out. She's like, they might not be able to talk about you, but I'm going to talk about you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to call you out on what you're doing.
Yes.
And why you're copying this black woman. And not only allegedly did she copy the actual product, but even the way that Bree marketed her product online. So even the marketing strategy that she was using to market the product. So for those out there that want to actually check out Bree's content too, you can go to breeromy.com. That's BREROMI.com. And these hair clips, they're so amazing. They're cute. They're stars and they're bows. And it's like, is Black girl magic in action. And once again, somebody's coming and trying to just snatch that from us. And so I think it's very important, again, that's the role of Black media, to make sure that we talk about these things and have these conversations to protect our creatives. I think it's important.
Do you think that Black creators and inventors, we should be more aggressive about filing patents early on in the process?
Look, I'm working on this thing with Sexy Red right now. I told her, like, you weren't here. I don't think you were here. But so what I say about that is that Black culture freestyles greatness and innovation. Yeah. And sometimes we do it to a fault, that we don't understand that we're doing something and saying something that can make a lot of money.
We don't understand that we're the cultural engine.
Yes.
We just don't get, like, we know it, but we don't understand that without what we are innovating, without what we are creating, nothing moves. And the minute we understand that, the minute we get it, then that's when we take our power and say, oh, wait a minute. You know, when I say go, it's go. When I don't move, then nothing moves.
Right. And there's so much power in that. And so we'll say things and I'm like, man, you better trademark that.
Yeah.
Like, you better copyright that. Like, this is a couple episodes ago that shout out to Kai Cenat, who's doing Mafia-thon 3. But his last Mafia-thon last year, he had Sexy Red on there, and she said something during the broadcast with Kai Cenat, and I trademarked what she said. I went and tried, because I said, somebody gonna take that and make a bunch of money, put their kids through college, and Sexy Red gonna be like, hey, that's mine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, when you freestyle some fly phrase online, make sure you trademark it. And so we're working on that product and that phrase right now.
Oh, nice.
To have it out.
You're giving it, each episode you give more and more clues about what it could be.
No, I'm just saying, look, man, we gotta stop saying fly stuff. Anytime that I say something,
help it.
That's my point. It's like, yo, I'm telling you right now, I told you something that I filed a trademark on, and I'll say it again. I filed a trademark on shits and giggles. Guess what I filed it for, though? Toilet paper with jokes on it.
Oh, wow.
See, I was like,
that's good.
So as soon as I came with it, I was like, yo, trademark that.
Yeah.
Toilet paper, napkins. I said toilet paper, shits and giggles, toilet paper with jokes on it. Because if I say it and then somebody runs off with it, I can't be mad that I didn't do my due diligence.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Black culture has to do its due diligence in what we say and what we create and what we invent. So when we're making these, I've seen this time and time again. Some Black designer will make a real cool jean and it'll be on Fashion Over the next week. Or anything. It's just the same thing over and over again.
But then also we got to know, we don't have that information. A lot of us don't have that information, even though we should, because it's very accessible. Like, we can find out how to do it. Mm-hmm. But we're so excited to create that we forget the business part of it.
But that's social media. That's the reason why I made Fanbase. Yeah. We'd be so excited to create the dance, the challenge, all these things. And then meanwhile, the infrastructure winds up being worth $300 billion. Yeah. About 12, 15 people that don't look like us are multi-billionaires, have yachts and mansions and boats, and go on to invest in other companies, and they wind up buying basketball teams and influencing elections and being about all the real estate and all these other things. And we got to stop and think like, yo, we have to build the infrastructure of the things that we create first. That is why Fanbase is there. I've said it again. If I was white, I would have not built this app. I would have not built this app if I was a white guy, because there would be no need for another white person to build another social media platform that leverages Black culture that doesn't give them anything. 2, if I did not know that the value of this platform could reach hundreds of billions of dollars, because I see it with my own eyes. Yeah. I see that ByteDance is worth about $340 billion. Instagram separated away from Meta's a $300 billion company. Meta's a $1.9 trillion company. And someone Black needs to own an infrastructure that leverages our culture, that leverages our culture to that type of valuation and that type of wealth.
Yeah. I think the theme of this episode is the role Black media plays in defending, right? Mm-hmm. What is the larger conversation about how Black media defends us in legal battles and in public battles?
I mean, when you think about Black media, defending us, that comes, Al Sharpton is a part of Black media. What's his name? Ben Crump. Mm-hmm. Defending us. We need those. We need more. We need more defenders. We need more people who are coming out um, to say our name, coming out to defend. We need more, and it needs to be authentic. Um, but at the same time, we have to be okay with breaking down the stories just like you did.
Mhm.
That's important because a lot of times we don't understand the story. A lot of times we'll just like you said, like we'll read the headline and okay, that's what it is. But we really have to break it down so we can understand. Oh, this is how this could impact me. We need to understand how it impacts us. So Black media has to break things down, take time and just and break it down, break down the story just like you did. That was brilliant.
Miss A?
So,
Well, what's your take?
the role?
Yeah.
Say it again, because I'm gonna make sure I said it. Answer me that question because I got a freestyle.
Yeah, so that's right. We're about to freestyle greatness.
Exactly.
What role does Black media play in defending Black creators legally and in the public eye?
It's your duty. It's your duty to do so, which is why I'm on this mission to say that individual success is great, but sometimes there's real opportunities to tell stories, and everybody can't pay, $5,000 for you to post it on your website. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes the news has to be told to be told. Imagine that. Like,
Right.
that's the thing about journalism. And I understand we always got listen, I understand you built your business. You got your following up on Instagram. Your following is large. But I've had to call and really yell at a few people in moments of times where I'm like, so check this out. This is what makes me mad. I'm like, all right, this is what makes me mad. Same again. So something goes viral. A conversation happens about an app. Again, something like Red Note or Lemonade is going viral on social media, or people are talking about it. And those same sites will talk about those platforms for free. Blue Sky gets all the press for free. Lemonade gets all the press for free.
Yeah.
Right? Red Note gets all the press for free. Spill, nobody talks about it. Fanbase, nobody talks about it. Spoutable, nobody talks about it. In Black media wants you to pay them $5,000, $10,000 to talk about the same app that someone else is really trying to copy your stuff and make you pay for it. And sometimes journalists just got to be journalists.
You
just got to tell the story.
Tell the story.
Because everybody ain't got the money just to spend $5,000 every time for you to talk about something, especially as important as building infrastructure that we own. And so a lot of times there's stories that need to be told. So again, if Bree Romy wants to get her story out, she might not have $5,000 to give one of these blogs.
And that speaks to their credibility too. Like,
Yeah.
tell a story just to tell the story because it's an important story to tell. It's because it's what the public needs to know. Otherwise, if everything is pay to play, then nobody is going to trust you. Nobody is going to trust. If once we find out, oh, this is pay to play. Okay, well, this is a game, and who knows what the most important stories are and what are not important stories, because we know that they've been, they were paid to tell the story. No, just tell the story that needs to be told.
Say it again.
Tell the story that needs to be told.
I want to follow up with that.
Yeah.
You as a producer,
Yeah.
how would you break down a newsroom so that it is more comfortable to tell those Black stories for other reporters who may not be of color?
Yeah, I love that. Let me tell you something. I was talking to one of my reporters, and I asked him. I emailed him, and he's a Black man. But I asked him. I said, and I can't remember. It was a police brutality story, and the question was whether we show the actual beating on air. And I was of the mind that, let's not show it on air. And the reason why I didn't want to show it on air is because I didn't want it to become entertainment, this Black man being beaten. And it was during his hit. And I asked him, and then he had told, he said he wanted to show it. So I asked him, I said, why? Why do you think it was important to show that? And he explained why. He gave his side, and I understood it. It's the same thing. And then I showed, once I heard his side of the story, I said, okay, well, we'll show it on air. it's the same thing with a person who is not Black, a person who is not of color. It's just having an open conversation. It's saying this is why this is important. And people get it. It's just having an open conversation, asking the uncomfortable questions about race, about perspectives, about that kind of thing. Just ask. Once you open it up and say that, and it shows that you're safe to ask a question that these people, some people do not know. They really don't know. They're not. You're not them. They're not you. They haven't lived your life. You haven't lived their life. So just ask the question, why is this important? How did this harm you? How does this impact your community? Just ask. And then people are more than willing, particularly in the newsroom, to listen.
I love
Did that answer your question?
That completely answered my
Okay.
question. I think that was probably that is the best answer I could have hoped for from a question.
It is.
That,
Don't play.
you know. So we talked about a few. I was running up on time here. We talked about two people in particular. A.B. Burns, Tucker, and Bree.
Mhm.
Right. My question is when creators like Bree get silenced, and then Tucker is misrepresented. Right. What does this show us about why Black ownership is essential?
Oh, I'll let you.
Well, for one, it goes back to what I said last week. When there are people who control how far you can go, if I'm telling a story that impacts my community, I need that person who is controlling how far I can go to look like me. I need them to have, I need you to understand the interest. I need you to understand why it's important to tell this story as raw as it is. So that's why Black media is important, so that we can tell the stories without strings attached, without an agenda that does not help us, without an agenda that may silence. It may not necessarily be set to silence us, but it silences us. And so that's what ends up happening a lot of times. A lot of times we are impacted more than anyone else, even if it's not, even if it's not supposed to be us, even if it's not, okay, this is not centered on you, it impacts us anyway, more than it impacts anyone else. Does that make sense? And so the person who pulls the strings, I need them to, yeah, I need them to move up, man.
Let me hit you on the Black ownership, right? Why are these two particular people examples of why Black ownership is essential?
Because not only do the stories need to be told, they need to be told in length. So a lot of times it'll be a conversation that somebody says, oh, so-and-so just had a bad, whatever the story is, and they get like 2 minutes on air. And there's like, time to go to commercial. I'm like, I didn't even get to talk about what I need to talk about. Yeah. That is why I say that Black media, if you can't say what you want, when you want, how often you want, the way you want, you're not media, right? You got some handcuffs on you. And in the Black community, we need to be able to have those conversations and have large, long conversations about those types of subjects. So if it is Bree, if it is what's the name with Taylor Lorenz, like, we need to be able to talk about those things in depth. It doesn't need to be a 30-second piece. It needs to be a 10-minute conversation, a 30-minute conversation, an hour-long conversation, or an ever-going conversation, a conversation that never stops, right? And so we have to support Black news in those types of ways. And again, when I think of fan base, I think of fan base as infrastructure that allows us to disseminate content. Be very, very clear. The distribution of content and information is going to go through social networks. It's happening right now. Most of you probably get your news through one of a few different sites, whether it's Threads, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? You're getting your news there instantaneously. That is the future of how all content is going to be distributed. Now, think about who owns those platforms, who's supporting those platforms, who's funding those platforms, what is the agenda of the people that have anything to do with those platforms. And if you can't say that for 100% certainty they are aligned with Black culture and Black people, then that automatically lets you know that we need our own platforms. It lets you know that we need our own. We need a fan base, right? We need a fan base to be able to have fun, but we also need a fan base to be able to share our information and have our conversations, and that's why it's important.
And everybody is welcome. But we just need the top person just needs we just need to have the top person.
That's one more thing.
Everybody.
So sometimes it's like I don't understand why, and it's always opposite world. I don't understand why that I said this before, that things that are built by white people or Asian people are automatically perceived to be for everybody.
Yeah.
And for some reason, if somebody black builds something, it's like it's only just for us.
And only black people can work there.
And only black people can work there. Only black people can use it. Yeah. Only black people can have it. That's not how you really scale businesses. And I think what's important about that is I built Fanbase to be a global platform. It's okay for someone to own a social media platform that white people use, that Latino people use, that Asian people use, right? That Indian people use, that African people use, but a black man built the platform. That is the design. It's almost like taking pride in ownership of something black is almost like a strike against you. And let me tell you something. I've dealt with that in the media before. I've had articles written about me on tech magazines. I've been on Fast Company, right? And the article that was written about me on Fast Company said, Isaac Hayes III builds social media platform for black creators. There was another platform that was built, and it was built by Asian people, and it just says, this platform's taking on the creator economy. That's a big difference. Imagine they said Isaac Hayes III, or don't even mention me, just say Fanbase is here to take on the creator economy. Absolutely. When people read that headline, they automatically say, oh, okay, it's for all of us. But when they see Isaac's here to build a platform for black creators, everybody else in the world just goes and says, oh, well, that's not for me. And that's done on purpose. Those headlines are written that way to make sure that people don't see Fanbase as something for everybody and just for black people. And the platform is not. It is black founded and black owned, but not black only. And that is the biggest part to take away from this. And we got to stand on business about that. That things that things that are built by black people can be for every single person on the planet. And just because the mention of race and ownership comes along is not race baiting. It's not trying to be isolationist. It's not trying to be segregationist. It's trying to be inclusive, but representative of what's necessary in our equal and actually expected and entitled ownership of infrastructures that we help build. Has to be.
Good. Well, good. You know what I'm going to say? We're at the top of the hour, sir.
Yes, sir.
One more time. Hit us for the raise.
Right now, we are raising $17 million in a Regulation A equity crowdfund for Fanbase on Start Engine. That means you can get Fanbase stock for $399. The minimum is $399 to invest. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. It's important. We just crossed $13 million raised. That means that there's $4 million to go. And the average investment in Fanbase is $1,000. So if there's 4,000 people out there that see this and want to invest $1,000 in Fanbase, we close the raise. And the importance of this is, to the gentleman that asked this question before, this capital is really what helps us scale and build and grow the company. And we dump every bit of energy and money and effort and creativity in building Fanbase. And so that's why we look at this as an opportunity. This is a unique moment. Like I said, anybody watching this right now, if you can find a social media platform that ever existed from Black Planet till now that allows you to have equity in it, invented in-app purchase peer-to-peer subscription so you can actually have monetization and have subscribers if you want, because it's free to download and free to use. Create an innovation like content migration where you can move your content from Instagram or TikTok, 1,000 to 2,000 pieces of content, and migrate over. And again, unless you have ownership in it, let me know, because we've never been here before. And when we've been in places like this where we've never been here before, especially as Black people, we got to take advantage of these opportunities. We can't. And and all of my friends said this, and even my mentor said this too. And I'll say this: I make no excuses for what Fanbase does, but he says if Fanbase fails, it's not Isaac's fault. He built it. All we had to do is hit download and show up. And that's the truth. All we had to do is hit download and show up like we did on Blue Sky and have 25 million people show up in 60 days. Isaac can go raise $100 million, $200, $300 million, and the conversation is over. So we fail ourselves by not supporting ourselves. And that's the only thing I can say. We fail ourselves by not supporting ourselves, and we have to do that. Okay. So Go to Invest in Fanbase, startengine.com/fanbase, and we see you next week on another episode of Invested.
Invest